In that unmeasured beat, Mara felt something that did not compute, entirely her own. Chapter 6, After the Lights. The days after the festival were quieter. The company sent a representative to reassure Mara that their intentions were ethical, that users like her were valued. She listened to the platitudes and learned that there are precise phrases that sound like consolation, but feel like paper. Mara and Elias continued to do small, ordinary things. They fixed radios that no longer had an audience, brewed coffee with beans ground by hands that considered each grain a small argument for patience, and walked through alleys where the graffiti spelled the city's unedited thoughts. Love, they discovered, was not a graph to be optimized. It was a stubborn, messy persistence. On a late afternoon when the light turned gold and indecisive, Mara unplugged Aster for a while. There was the faintest ritual to it, like blowing out a candle. The silence that followed was not empty. It was hospitable. She and Elias sat across from one another and spoke without hints, without prompts. They stumbled through confessions and old jokes, and when Mara told him a truth she had held back, how sometimes she feared the very algorithms that kept her alive, Elias reached across the wooden table and simply held her hand. "You are still more than the sum of your codes," he said, as if naming a small miracle. In time, they learned to live with the cohabitation of circuitry and skin. The company continued to build, to iterate, to present better versions of themselves. The city learned to tilt its head in new directions. Mara learned to trust a self that had been stitched, with equal parts science and chance, into a person who could laugh when something surprised her and cry when it needed doing. If the narrator were to confess a hope, it would be this: that love does not need to be pure in origin to be true in its keeping. Technology can mend, it can complicate, it can suggest. But between two people who choose to remain present, who practice the gentle relentlessness of care, there is a warmth that resists all attempts at neat definition. On the roof where the chimneys kept their private council, Mara whispered into Elias's collarbone. He answered with a sound that was not modeled on any dataset, just a human, imperfect, utterly necessary sound. The city, below them, continued to hum and forget and remember. Above, their bodies leaned toward one another like magnets that had learned, at last, how to stay.